For 7 years, one Stranger Things character has remained television's most controversial loose end. The girl with purple hair who could make you see things that weren't there. The sister Eleven found and then left behind. The test subject who escaped Hawkins' lab before the massacre. Kali Prasad, also known as 008, appeared in what's widely considered the worst episode of the entire series. Then, she vanished completely. Until Season 5, Episode 4 revealed she's been trapped in a military vault in the Upside Down this entire time. If the military has been using Kali's illusion powers to hunt Eleven, she's not just another survivor of Hawkins' lab. She could be the military's most powerful weapon against psychic abilities. And suddenly, the girl everyone thought was a mistake might become essential to defeating Vecna. The Duffer Brothers set this up from the moment that punk gang tore through Pittsburgh. Kali wasn't just a side character in Eleven's journey, she was always meant to return for the final battle. But what exactly happened to Kali? Where has she been? And how can her powers help defeat Vecna? The answers lie in everything we've seen since October 1984. And once you understand the full picture, you'll realize Kali's story isn't about revenge. It's about turning perception into power. Before we continue, just to be clear, the first part of this video only covers what we know for sure from the show and what Duffer Brothers suggested themselves. After that, we'll talk about what those facts might mean and where the story could go. Let's go back to the beginning. 1969, London, England. Kali Prasad was born in 1964 and lived in London as a young girl. She was of Indian heritage. On either April 12th or July 12th, 1969, 5-year-old Kali disappeared from London. Dr. Martin Brenner and his associates had abducted her, bringing her to Hawkins' lab in Indiana. Local police efforts to track down Kali were unsuccessful. She simply vanished. At Hawkins' lab, Kali became subject number 008. She was tattooed with the numbers on her wrist, just like Eleven and all the other children. Brenner experimented on her alongside the other numbered subjects in his attempt to recreate Henry Creel's powers. Kali developed abilities, not telekinesis like Eleven, something different, something rare. Kali could manipulate perception itself. She could create vivid hallucinations in people's minds, make them see, hear, and feel things that weren't actually there. She could conjure images of spiders crawling on someone's arm, make herself and others completely invisible, or create massive illusions like collapsed bridges and metal walls. Using her powers caused her nose to bleed, just like it did for Eleven and the other test subjects. Kali played with Eleven in the Rainbow Room at Hawkins' lab. They were young together. They were sisters in trauma. Eleven had faint memories of her, though she couldn't quite place them. Before Henry Creel massacred everyone at Hawkins' lab in 1979, Kali had grown tired of the abuse. She used her illusion powers to escape. She made the guards see what she wanted them to see, and she walked out. Kali was one of the few survivors of Hawkins' lab that we know about. Henry Creel became Vecna. Eleven survived the massacre, and Kali was already gone. Eleven lost the dim memories she had of Kali after she overexerted herself by banishing Henry to the Upside Down. For years, Eleven didn't remember her sister at all. October 1984, Eleven was searching for answers about her mother. After connecting with her catatonic mother Terry Ives through her powers, Eleven saw an image, a girl, another child from the lab. Terry showed Eleven this image because she wanted her daughter to find her sister. Eleven found Kali's picture in Terry's files of missing children. She used her powers to locate Kali through remote viewing. She saw a warehouse in Chicago, a gang of outcasts, and purple hair. Eleven cleaned out her Aunt Becky's purse and fled Hopper's cabin. She hopped a bus to Chicago. The episode was titled The Lost Sister. It became the lowest rated episode in Stranger Things history, sitting at 6.0 on IMDb. Critics and fans argued it derailed the season's pacing. It interrupted the main story right after a massive cliffhanger. But the episode wasn't pointless, not even close. Eleven tracked Kali to an abandoned warehouse in Chicago. When she arrived, she was immediately threatened by Axel, a mohawked man who pulled a knife on her. Kali stepped forward. She and Eleven compared their tattoos. They recognized each other. They embraced. Kali said, "At last, Jane was home." Kali had built a new family, a gang of 4 people who society had abandoned. Axel, the hot-headed member with the massive mohawk. Funshine, a gentle giant who served as their warrior. Mick, the practical getaway driver and lookout. And Dottie, the newest member who hadn't from a psychiatric hospital. The gang wasn't just surviving, they were hunting. Kali had a board filled with photographs of bad men, scientists and staff from Hawkins' lab, people who had hurt her, people who had hurt all of them. One by one, Callie's gang was tracking these people down and killing them. On October 28, 1984, Callie and her gang killed Dr. John Pericles in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He had worked for Hawkins' lab. They executed him in his apartment at 1759 Woodlake Way. The police chased them through Pittsburgh. Callie used her powers to make an officer see a collapsed tunnel, causing a massive car crash that allowed them to escape. They fled to Chicago. That's where 11 found them the next day. If you're enjoying this breakdown of Callie's journey, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're about to explain how her powers work and why the military wants them so badly. Callie explained her abilities to 11 by creating an illusion of a colorful butterfly sitting in her palm. The butterfly looked real, it moved, it was beautiful. Then she made it disappear. Callie's powers worked differently than 11's telekinesis. 11 could physically move objects with her mind. Callie couldn't. Instead, Callie could make people believe they saw something happening. She demonstrated her powers on Axel when he threatened 11, filling his mind with images of spiders. His dialogue implied this was a regular occurrence. Callie used fear to control her gang when necessary. Callie's powers had incredible range. She could make herself and others invisible to surveillance and police. She could create duplicates of people. She could conjure entire scenarios in someone's mind. She could make a gas station clerk see nothing while her gang robbed the place blind. Her powers seemed tied to her confidence. When 11 later abandoned the gang, Callie's illusion blocking the police broke down. Callie taught 11 something crucial. She showed her how to channel anger to strengthen her powers, how to tap into rage and pain to make telekinesis more powerful. They practiced on a train car. Callie told 11 to find her anger, to remember what Papa had done, to remember the loss. 11 channeled that rage and crushed the train car like a tin can. Callie showed 11 her photographs, the board of bad men, scientists, guards, people who had tortured them at Hawkins' lab. 11 recognized one face immediately, Ray Carroll. She'd seen him in her mother's memories. He was the orderly who had administered electroshock therapy to Terry Ives, destroying her mind. Ray had also attacked Callie with a cattle prod when she was a child. Callie decided they would hunt him next. The gang gave 11 a makeover first. Black clothes, excessive eyeshadow, slicked back hair. She looked dangerous. She looked like one of them. They stopped at a gas station called Oscar's Grab and Go, while Callie distracted the clerk with an illusion. The gang robbed the store. When the clerk discovered them, he pulled a gun and threatened to shoot Callie. 11 slammed him against the wall with her powers, knocking him unconscious. The gang escaped. They tracked Ray Carroll to his residence in Illinois. The gang broke in wearing scary masks. Callie and 11 confronted Ray, while the others ransacked his home looking for valuables. Ray didn't recognize them at first. Callie showed him a vision of their younger selves to remind him. Then she beat him with the butt of her pistol. 11 threw him into a wall with her mind. Ray pleaded for his life. He claimed he was only following orders, just doing what Brenner told him to do. When that failed, Ray tried to bargain. He revealed that Dr. Brenner was still alive, that he'd survived being mauled by the Demogorgon the previous year. He offered to take them to Brenner in exchange for mercy. Callie didn't believe him. She urged 11 to kill Ray, to make him suffer, to channel her anger and choke the life out of him slowly. 11 began strangling Ray with her powers. She was going to do it. She was going to become a killer. Then she saw something, a photograph on the floor. Ray with his 2 daughters. 11 stopped. She couldn't do it. Ray's daughters were hiding in another room. They'd already called the police. Callie heard the sirens approaching. She desperately tried to convince 11 to finish Ray off. When 11 refused, Callie pulled out a gun to shoot him herself. 11 used her powers to throw the gun out the window. The gang fled back to the warehouse. Callie was furious. She'd lost her chance at revenge because 11 had shown mercy. Back at their hideout, Callie confronted 11. She explained that after 11 had been taken away by Brenner, Callie had used her powers to escape the lab. She'd found a new home and family, but eventually lost them because they couldn't help her with her abilities. Callie told 11 that the reason she was so hard on her was because she saw all of her past mistakes in 11. She believed their gifts weren't bad. They shouldn't have to hide. The world saw them as monsters, so they should embrace being monsters. Callie even conjured an illusion of Dr. Brenner to convince 11 to face her pain, to choose anger over mercy. The police surrounded the warehouse. Callie used her illusions to help the gang escape, creating a massive metal wall that appeared to grow into the sky, blocking the officers. As they ran to their van, 11 had a vision. She saw Hopper, Mike, her friends back in Hawkins. They were in danger at the lab. Demogorgons were attacking them. 11 made her choice. She wouldn't run with Kali. She was going back to Hawkins, back to her real home, back to her real family. Kali protested. She insisted 11's friends couldn't save her, but 11 replied with the truth. No, but I can save them. She ran down an alley as the gang drove away. On the bus back to Indiana, an old lady asked 11 where she was going. 11 answered, I'm going to my friends. I'm going home. Drop a comment below telling me your theory about what the military has been doing with Kali, because Season 5 finally brought her back in the most unexpected way. That was the last time anyone saw Kali Prasad, until 7 years later. For the next 3 seasons, Kali was never mentioned, never shown, never referenced by 11 or anyone else. In Season 4, Henry Creel mentioned that 008 had still been present at Hawkins' lab during a traumatic memory 11 experienced. But Kali wasn't there during the massacre. She'd already escaped. Fans debated whether the Duffer Brothers had abandoned the storyline entirely, whether the lost sister had been a mistake, whether Kali would ever return. The Duffer Brothers addressed this in interviews. Matt Duffer explained they'd talked about bringing Kali back every season. They'd wanted to give Linnea Berthelsen another chance to shine, but they didn't want to just put her in the show for no reason. Ross Duffer added that it would have felt like a loose end or a mistake episode if they ended Stranger Things without bringing Kali back into the fold. They were waiting for the right moment, waiting for when her return would have maximum impact. That moment came in the final season. In The Upside Down, Season 5, Episode 4, Sorcerer, Mac Z acted as the military's access control zone into the Upside Down, connected to the Gable Ridge base where Kali was held. The military, led by Dr. K, had been hunting 11 for months. They'd developed a sonic weapon that acted as 11's kryptonite, completely overwhelming her powers and causing her immense pain. 11 became convinced that Dr. K was holding Vecna prisoner, that the military had captured him and was using the sonic weapon to keep him restrained. She and Hopper broke into the military base. They fought through soldiers. They destroyed the sonic weapons. They captured Lieutenant Akers and interrogated him. 11 saw the heavily reinforced door in Akers' mind, the vault. Whatever was inside that room was the source of the military's power. Hopper prepared for a suicide mission. He strapped explosives to his chest. He was ready to sacrifice himself to kill Vecna once and for all. He told 11 goodbye. He entered the secured room alone. 11 dragged herself to the door, crying at the thought of losing another father. Hopper re-emerged. He wasn't hurt. He looked shocked, confused. He took 11 inside. It wasn't Vecna strapped to the machinery. It was Kali. Her head was shaved. She was unconscious. She was hooked up to monitors and IVs, restrained just like she'd been as a child at Hawkins' lab. The sonic weapon was being used to suppress her powers. Kali opened her eyes. She saw 11. She smiled. She looked relieved to see her sister. The episode ended. Volume 1 concluded with that reveal. Kali was back, and the implications were staggering. From here on, everything is grounded in canon, but moves into theory and interpretation rather than confirmed plot. The Duffer Brothers confirmed Kali will play a really important role in Volume 2. Millie Bobby Brown explained that Kali is one of the few people who truly understands what 11 has been through. But why did Dr. K capture Kali? What has she been doing with her? The most obvious answer: the military has been using Kali's illusion powers to create the sonic weapon that neutralizes 11's abilities. They've been studying Kali's brain, extracting her power, and replicating it as technology. Dr. K has no emotional connection to 11. Unlike Dr. Brenner, who had twisted paternal feelings, Dr. K sees 11 purely as a threat and a resource. She's brilliant, ruthless, and physically dangerous. The military likely captured Kali while hunting for 11. Kali's illusion powers made her valuable. They've had her for months, maybe years, hooking her up to machines just like Brenner did when she was 5 years old. Kali escaped that life once. Now she's back in it. The revelation suggests Dr. K wants to capture 11 for the same purpose. Study her, extract her powers, weaponize her abilities, create more sonic weapons, maybe even create new super soldiers using the blood of 11 and Kali, just like Brenner used Henry Creel's blood to give powers to the other children. Kali's capture proves the military doesn't understand the real threat. They're so obsessed with containing 11 that they've ignored Vecna. Their arrogance and recklessness have already led to countless deaths when Vecna attacked their base at the end of Volume 1. The military's obsession with 11 could be their greatest downfall, and Kali's liberation could be their worst nightmare. Here's where the theory builds on everything we know. Vecna's primary power is creating elaborate mindscapes. He traps victims in mental prisons built from their traumatic memories. He makes them see their worst fears. He breaks them from within by controlling what they perceive. Sound familiar? Kali's power is also perception manipulation. She creates illusions. She makes people see things that aren't there. She controls what others believe is real. Vecna and Kali have opposite applications of the same fundamental ability. He uses it to torture and kill. She uses it to survive and fight back. Vecna can pull people into his mental lair, but what if Kali could potentially counter his illusion-based assaults? What if she can create illusions inside his mindscape? What if she can fight him on his own psychological battlefield? Max is trapped inside Vecna's mind. She's been there for months, navigating his memories, searching for escape. She found a cave that Vecna refuses to enter, something that terrifies him. What if Kali's illusion powers can strengthen whatever weakness that cave represents? What if she can make Vecna's fears manifest in ways that hurt him? The Duffer Brothers specifically mention Kali will be important to Eleven's journey, not just as backup, not just as another psychic, but as someone who understands the trauma in ways that even Mike and Hopper cannot. Will Byers also has powers now. He's connected to Vecna through his possession in Season 2. He might be stronger than both Eleven and Kali. 3 psychics, 3 survivors of different types of trauma, 3 people who understand what it means to have their minds invaded and their perception twisted. Vecna has kidnapped 11 children. He's gathered them to reshape the world in his image. The number matches Eleven's subject number. That can't be coincidence.
What if the final battle isn't just about physical power? What if it's about who controls perception? Who controls what people believe is real? Kali spent years seeking revenge against the people who hurt her. She learned to weaponize her illusions. She learned to fight back against a world that saw her as a monster. Now she has a chance to use those skills against the real monster, the one who started it all, Henry Creel. Number 1. Vecna. The theory suggests Kali won't just be backup in the fight. She could be essential to creating the psychological battlefield where Vecna can be defeated. Everything in Stranger Things has been building toward the revelation that Kali matters. For 7 years, fans argued the Lost Sister was pointless, a filler episode, a detour that went nowhere. The Duffer Brothers' biggest mistake. Season 5 proves otherwise. Kali was introduced in Season 2 to establish that Eleven wasn't alone, that other children with different powers existed, that not everyone from Hawkins' lab was dead. She was brought back in Season 5 to tie up the final loose end from the Hawkins lab conspiracy, to complete the circle of survivors, to prove that the girl with the controversial episode was always part of the bigger plan. The Duffer Brothers confirmed they didn't want the Lost Sister to feel like a mistake. They needed to bring Kali back to validate her introduction, to show that Eleven's journey to Chicago mattered, that learning to channel anger and seeing the danger of revenge were crucial lessons. Kali taught Eleven how to strengthen her powers through emotion. That training helped Eleven close the gate at the end of Season 2. It helped her fight the Mind Flayer in Season 3. It helped her battle Vecna in Season 4. Now Kali is positioned to help Eleven one final time. Her illusion powers are uniquely suited to counter Vecna's psychological attacks. Her survival skills from living on the streets could be essential in the Upside Down. Her understanding of trauma and rage could help Will channel his new powers. The military captured Kali, thinking she was a weapon they could study and replicate. They treated her like Brenner did. They saw her as a resource. They underestimated her, just like everyone always has. Sadie Sink discussed how challenging Season 5 has been to film. Millie Bobby Brown confirmed Kali is utilized heavily within the season. Linnea Berthelsen returned after 7 years to complete Kali's story. Volume 2 will reveal Kali's true purpose, whether she can escape Dr. K's base, whether her powers can help free Max from Vecna's mind, whether the girl everyone thought was a mistake becomes essential to saving Hawkins. The question isn't whether Kali matters. The question is whether the military realizes what they've unleashed by capturing the one person who can fight Vecna's illusions with illusions of her own. If you found this deep dive into Number 8's journey revealing, hit that like button, subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment with your theories about how Kali helps defeat Vecna in Volume 2. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.